Polling has started for South Africa's general elections, the most competitive since the end of apartheid, which could result in the ruling African National Congress losing its majority for the first time in 30 years. Well, ANC came in power after South Africa's first multiracial elections in 1994, when it was led by Nelson Mandela, and since then he has won a majority in national elections held every 5 years, though its share of the vote has gradually declined. Among opposition parties vying for power is the pro-business Democratic Alliance, which won the second largest vote share in 2019 and has formed an alliance with several smaller parties to try to broaden its appeal. Former President Jacob Zuma is backing a new party called MK, named after the ANC's former armed wing. Zuma was forced to quit as president in 2018 after a string of scandals. In polls, the ANC, led by President Cyril Ramaphosa, may experience a first ever decline in its percentage of the vote, below 50%. South Africa, with the population of 62 million, has 27.6 million registered voters. However, voter turnout may be a worry as voter concern rises. But many in the country are fed up with high unemployment, currently at 32.9%, crime, corruption scandals, and regular power cuts and water shortages. In 2023, the economy grew at just 6%. It is anticipated that the Election Commission will begin disclosing initial results shortly after polls close. The Commission has 7 days to announce final results. And to get the latest from on ground in South Africa, Calden Ongmu joins us from Johannesburg. Hi Calden, welcome to the show. You're joining us live from the polling booth there in Johannesburg. 70 parties and 11 independents taking part in the elections today with 28 million registered voters. What is the mood like among South Africans today?
Well, Rahesha, it's a D-Day for South Africa. The day is finally here, and it's just gone past 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And I don't know if you can see behind me, there's a queue of hundreds of people. And mind you, this is a small suburb where I'm standing. There's a voting poll just behind, just in front of me. But here, if you can see me, there's a queue, hundreds and hundreds of people that have lined up. In fact, very interesting, when I came here, one of the volunteers was quite impressed with the queue and said that, you know, this is the first time actually in many elections she has seen such a number of people turning up, at least at this hour of time. So there are people, elderly people, young people, first-time voters, they're all here. And speaking to some of them, they say they're excited, you know, they want to make their voice heard, and especially this elections, as you mentioned in your read, it's a very, very important elections for South Africa, not just because the polls have suggested that ANC might lose its majority. ANC, who's the only party that has ruled South Africa since its democracy, like you mentioned, in 1994. Some of the young people here, they say, between the age group of 18 to 35, they say they want change, not just because ANC has been riddled with corruption allegations. Yeah, of course, they are fed up with all of these things that's going on in the country right now, the weakening economy, the continuous power cuts, like you mentioned in the read. But they say that they are no longer the generation of their parents and grandparents. You know, also, you know, mentioning ANC does have loyalists like the older people from the generation who experienced apartheid. They still vote for ANC, but the young people said they need change. They want to give an opportunity to other parties to see what they can do. it's a very exciting day for South Africans. Younger people will definitely make their voices heard. And also to mention that this is a very first time in the history of the history that the South Africans will be given 3 ballot papers from the usual 2. They will be making their casting the votes in national, provincial, as well as regional. And for the first time, they've introduced independent candidates. So that's something different for South Africans. They will be making cross in 3 ballot papers.
Right, Calden, speaking of the voters lined up at the polling booths from where you're joining us live from Johannesburg, talk to us about how this election is a defining moment in the nation's history. The question in everybody's mind right now being if Zuma can dent Ramaphosa's vote share.
Yes, you are correct, partially correct, if I may put it that way. This, I said, ANC has been the only party that has ruled South Africa for the past 3 decades. ANC has got his share of loyalists, but young people say they want change. MK, that's Umkhonto we Sizwe party that was started. It's a new party that was started last year, end of last year. And in December, Jacob Zuma actually announced that he will no longer be voting for ANC, but he remains the member of ANC, but he will campaign for the new party. That has actually made a lot of sound in South Africa. Many voters from the ANC has shifted to Jacob Zuma, as infamous as controversial as Jacob Zuma it may be, but in his home province, that's the KwaZulu-Natal area, he's got a solid base there. And we've seen in the rallies, the final rally that he hosted in Gauteng here in Johannesburg, he actually managed to fill up the 40,000 packed stadium full of supporters. He does have his share of supporters and followers. And it's not just Jacob Zuma's Umkhonto we Sizwe party. There is also another party that's called the Economic Freedom Fighters. The leader of that party is also a breakaway from the ANC. So there are many parties like this that has broken away from ANC in the past couple of years that have actually taken voters away from them. ANC in the past decades, they've already been losing a lot of voter share. And the main opposition party, Democratic Alliance, also, they're claiming that ANC has not worked for its people. They're claiming, saying that they will, after this election, they will make jobs. That is one of the main reasons as well why this is a watershed moment for South Africa. South Africa has the highest rate of unemployment in the world. It stands at 32.9%. The crime rate stands at a 20-year high. People are here to make a change today. Whether ANC will win, ANC will not win. The polls have suggested they might drop down from its majority, but there is a lot of uncertainty. People are saying there might be a coalition government. Right. So this is the very first time speculations are rife of coalition government. If that happens, how will the country run? So this is one of the reasons why this is a watershed moment for the South Africans, Resha.
Right, Calden, thank you so much for joining us on Newspoint and sharing your insights with us. We'll, of course, be tracking the polls in South Africa with you very closely.